Well, I'm back. It took me a little effort, but I got back here. Oh, the thing I wanted to read was a dogmatic point of view, you know? Doo-doo-doo-doo. Okay, that looks good. Uh, The harmonious account of what does the Bible really teach, brought to us by anyway, basically, it keeps saying here, I'll just read a couple paragraphs. The Bible was written over a 1600-year period. Its writers lived at different times and came from many walks of life. Some were farmers, fishermen, shepherds. Others were prophets, judges, and kings. Gospel of Luke was a doctor. I mean, how can these guys say that they're writing the word of God? No, they're writing, whatever their employer is telling them, or their employer is, got a ghostwriter. Just like Donnie, he did not write The Art of the Deal. So whatever you feel, whatever is going on around you, if you do not feel right here in your heart, if it doesn't feel right in your heart, then you know it's not right to be. Okay. And so we have to step up in our lives to take hold individually the responsibility for why we're here and what we're doing. And in every day and every way, we have to make and take and co-create love's love as the artist in the first person. And this winter, because, it's cold and hard to get around and all of the rest, what I ask is that everyone who takes part, who is part of the cadre, does this in their own life, takes the responsibility and takes it in their hands to, in every day and every way, take the responsibility, step up, be that person who is manifesting love's one love through co-creation with love. So every time you get frustrated, like, when the guy sold me the wrong wire, when all of the stuff that could have pissed me off today, I had to go into state and forgive myself first for feeling this, and then stepping up the harmonic. So when I interacted with that person, I was doing it with love. And out of it came a wonderful interaction with those folk. The Bible is a wonderful book. I read it every day for inspiration, but I don't take it as a dogmatic point of this is what God is telling me. No, I let it be the little clapper. I'm the bell, and the Bible is the clapper, and so is other great prophetic books, because there are a lot of them, and King James isn't the only one. Well, if I were to not try and be top-notch, it would suck. People don't realize by trying to be, that's all we can do is do our best. Not try, but do our best. Now, that's not going to be perfect. It's not even going to be potentially our best. But if we do our best, it's going to be a lot better if we were that sore loser or that jerk or all of the above, you know? That's right. It's much better to laugh. And what's truly amazing is instead of stereotyping people and expecting them to be the stupid moron that you think they are, no, they, if you step up, they step up. If you do your best, they will do their best. And that's how we change the world. One relationship at a time. And not, you know, every relationship is a relationship. Waiting online at the supermarket, waiting in a waiting room at the doctor's office, being at the post office. I had to go pick some stuff up for JB a week ago, and it was the day after H's, where they closed the post office down. So, I'd never seen the line outside the frigging post office. And it was really cold, so I stopped, I opened the door, I got out. It was like frigging cold. I said, screw this. I went to the breakfast and talked to you guys. And then I drove by the post office again. The line was even longer. And so I went and did my errands. And then I drove by, and the line was now inside the building. So I said, okay. So I drove, parked, went inside. But it was still, I had to wait almost an hour. I mean, it was like really frigging long. And so all I did was crack jokes. I made everyone laugh, we were making fun of everything because it was a crippled guy. I'm crippled guy. There was a guy in a wheelchair, and he was a little upset. And I said, "What are you upset about, buddy? You at least got a chair to sit in." And he started to. Everyone like held their breath, like, "Oh my God, he just made fun of the guy in the wheelchair." And I didn't make fun of the guy in the wheelchair. I made fun of me, and he realized that, and he started laughing. So everyone else laughed, and from that point on, it was all good. And then when one of the people who were at and they had, I don't know, 50 people waiting, and they only had 2 people there, and one of the managers who I knew walked, by behind them, and I said, "Yo, Larry, what's up?" And he looked at me, and I was waving the little yellow pink cards, which he realized, oh. And so he went and got one of their they call them gurneys. There's a basket on wheels. And he filled it up with all the packages that came in the last couple days for people with pink cards, because all they had to do was show him the pink card. He'd give him the box. So he rolled out there and said, "Anyone have pink cards?" And he goes, "Al, show him the pink cards." And I showed him the pink cards. He rolled over to me. He gave me the 6 boxes, and there was 2 really heavy ones. So he got a guy from the back to help. I could have never carried it. But because I was, doing my best, it all worked out, And we don't have to expect end times. We can expect the best times when we do our best. We're all programmed morons, It's when we wake up. I mean, hey, I'm an ascended. No, I'm not. I'm your sensei, Al Bob. Yes, I am. And I'm awake most of the time, but a good 10 to 20% of the day, I'm asleep. I do my best to stay awake. I keep reminding myself to do my best, to in every day and every way do my best. And that makes the day be much better. I mean, last week when I was still unconscious, I got a freaking speeding ticket, Yep, break the ice on the hearts, So, how many of you folk were there for, 2 chats ago when I guided you into the fairyland, the second door, from your library? There's those 9 doors. The first door that was open, that you went through from the beginning, was your superconscious mind, your sanctuary of your own choosing. I introduced you to being able to see the old crone walk from the back of the hearth, just like in Harry Potter, how those guys kind of take a airplane ride through the chimney, like Santa Claus. I showed you the old crone doing the same thing, and anyone can walk through your fireplace of the eternal flame to come see you. And I introduced you, someone said, "Oh, I want you to show me a photo of the old crone." And I showed you pictures of her neighborhood. I showed you pictures of her invisible road upside the mountain. I mean, anyway, so I said, I'm going to do even better, motivate you guys to meditate. You want to meet the old crone? Go to the old crone's, you know, little hobbit house, start breathing 20% in, illuminating yourself with your chi and grounding yourself. You're illuminating yourself with your prana and grounding yourself with your chi, illuminating your library through your imaginary mirror, and going to your Akashic record and doing the process of emptying all of your angst out into your Akashic record. And as you're leaning onto the blank pages and staring at the fireplace, you will see the crone walk right to you. And then she'll take you by the arm after she goes, "What are you looking at?" She'll take you by the arm through the second door. And that second door she opens with the love in her heart and brings you into fairyland. So how many of you who are at this chat now experience that at this moment or back when I first did it 2 chats ago, about 12 o'clock? Anybody? Exactement. It's contagious. Practice makes perfect. Just keep at it. Keep doing rather than wishing, rather than hoping. Do. Do your best. That's all you got to do. Your best. And that will be far better than anything else you've ever done. Good. Good. Well, if a door opens, go through with it with grace and love, gratitude and respect, and you'll always be safe. And if it doesn't feel good in your heart, well, then don't step any further. Okay. I'm not getting hard case, But it motivated me to show you a way to actually see her in your own time space, and have your own relationship with her. Isn't that better to have your own relationship with her? Yes, I tell a good story, but it's better that you have the relationship with the crone, right? Very good. At peace and understanding with yourself. And that is the first step in healing the universe. Yes. It's not about the crone. It's about being at peace and understanding with yourself. Again, the first step in healing the universe. And she's a great, avatar from the other side, from the higher realms. She is ascending. She's, I'm your Sensei Al-Bab. I'm still a meat puppet. I'm still a moron. I'm still have that taste, that tang, that, what's the right word? Taint. But only 10%. The other 70 or so percent, I'm awake. And that's, the more you do that, the more awake you are, the more you're moving forward and ascending. And the crone is a great teacher. So, don't sell her short, you know. And it's by experiencing that, as is experiencing your library and your superconscious mind, that will give you the tools to navigate all things and co-create with love. Exactly, right? Affect your reality through your everyday with love's co-creation. Yeah. Well, remembering remembering is just a file card, and it's not a curse. It's good to have a good memory, but to see that memory as the only thing, no. It's a touchstone. It's just a single experience. And again, it's like I said, it's a file card. And it's good to have those files. I have a nice Rolodex, I have a good hard drive, it's good to have memory, and especially energetic memory. That's what music is, that's what imagery is, that's what the feeling of the heart, so we have these five senses. Well, we got all these other senses in our dialectic, in our nervous system, in our pulmonary. We have more than one pulmonaries, not pulmonary, but pneumatic systems. We have cranial sacral. We have all these other fluids going through our body, and they hold memories, and not ones that are electrical in the filing cabinet, but they are more alchemical, right? And that's what love is. It's this alchemical memory. You know, all of the people I've loved in my life who are gone, they're not gone. They're an alchemical memory in me, and I can go back, and it's like being on the Enterprise holodeck. It's like when Data goes look at his little holographic image of his girlfriend. You know, and that's the beauty of Star Trek. It's the new mythology. You know, you know they took the knowledge of understanding of things that were already there but not in the market, put it on a TV show, and 20 years later, we all have flip phones. Another 30 years later, we got 3D printers. A replicator. Cranial sacral therapy can really sort out your muscles. It sorts out everything, because healing is not just auto mechanics. It's not just moving the muscles, the fascia, the bones. No, it's energetics. It's alchemy. Why am I still alive? All my doctors are amazed. How is this? I'm not taking all the medicines they want me. I muscle tested every one. Well, the one for my diabetes is a good one. And I keep finding a better and better medicine, the one that has the least and least negative response in my body, right? My blood pressure and my cholesterol and all those things. Change of diet, change of thought, change of a lot of things. Plus, I do take, drugs, but I have all these doctors who I had to muscle test them to find the right ones. They gave me guys, just take this. I don't want to take this. I'm the doctor. I know, but no, you don't. Read this paper. I don't have the time to read this paper. I had to find the person who would read the paper and go, oh, I see what you're talking about. Okay, let's try this one and see how that works. And that took me 5 years to tune up my response to nearly dying and, losing 270 pounds helped a lot. And changing my diet helped a lot. But, I was telling this one person, who was like, at IHOP, he looked like 400 pounds. And, he had he had every, he was going to die soon. He had a coronary, he had a quadruple bypass. He had all kinds of things going on in him, and he still had them going on. And he was hurting and everything. And I said, buddy, I was almost twice as big as you are. And he was, how'd you lose the weight? And I said, well, I just changed my diet. You want a diet? No, I changed it. I said, look, here, I'm having an omelet and I'm having, pancakes, but I'm not using the syrup. If I use the syrup, that would be like 1,000 calories. Whereas this omelet and these pancakes, they're only 900 calories. The syrup alone, he said, well, syrup's the best. I said, no, it isn't. Get some sour cream. And he did. And he said, yeah, that tastes pretty good. Almost like a Blintz. I said, right, exactly. Right? Anyway, so, and I say, and I said to our waitress, so when's the last time I was in here? And she goes, oh, about a month ago. I said, see, I only come in here once or twice a month. That's it. Now, when I was in the deep green, the only place I could make a phone call was at IHOP. So, yeah, I went there once a week, but I didn't have the same thing all the time. Sometimes I had fish, and sometimes I had a salad, and and I tried to keep whatever meal I had under 1,200 calories, and I tried not to have any, super saturated sugars, and that's how you lose weight. And I lost weight because when I was in the deep green, I didn't have a lot of food. My refrigerator's the size of a shoebox, so I wasn't snacking all the time. I was just drinking amazingly clean water. And we are bags of water. So anyway, that's how you cure yourself, And what are we talking about here? Yep. So when you guys come to visit the Deep Green, I'm going to teach you all of these massage techniques, energetic techniques, ceremony. We're going to sweat. We're going to drum. We're going to pick herbs in the forest. We're going to swim in the waterfall. Right. Instead of seeing something as a distraction, we experience it as ceremony, which gives it its importance, its value. When you're just looking at things as distraction, there is no value, so it takes from you. Like when I've been watching a lot of television, I'm given the excuse of, well, I haven't been watching any TV. I have to check in with it and be the anthropologist. Well, this is true. I've picked up a lot of things in the last few days watching TV, but nothing that I didn't know by meditating about it, Exactly. And so what is good about this chat is, first off, there's more of us in the chat than just the 6 or 10 or 30 of us. There are people who watch it in the next few hours, because they were busy or at work or something, and they take part of it, right? Every day, these chats get looked at by at least, somewhere between 30 and 70 people, and they're there on the channel as a library to go back. And I know that at a certain point, you guys will start doing that. And you will start making synaptic connections, of what this is. And the sun is coming out. It was a cloudy day, and now the sun's coming out. The sun is shining through the clouds behind the mountain. So it's getting close to 3. We've been on chat for 25 minutes, give or take. So, Is there anything really interesting that anyone wants to bring up that we can talk about? Because that's one of the things I really enjoy about our chats is the dialogue, the conversation. You know, yeah, I'm a griot. I can tell the story, but I like the conversation. And you guys are good conversationalists. I have to admit, you all are. Let's go back. See if I missed anything. Yeah. And you know, a lot of the stuff all of the stuff I do on these chats, on this channel, are shamanic ceremony, right? And energetic alchemy, right? And I can see that it affects you guys in the positive, and that's why I do it. And I expect, and that's a problem, because when I have expectations, I'm taking it out of your hands. So I need to let go of my expectations and just be there for you. And I will do that, you know. And 70 to 90% of the time. Oh, they're perfected ones everywhere. They're perfected ones right next to you. You know, I keep telling people who keep giving me the line, "Oh, it's end of times. Jesus is coming. You know, prepare." I said, buddy, if you don't prepare in every day and every way to take the peace of the earth to make it stronger through love's co-creation, you are lost. I go, huh? I said that Jesus is always here. I've met Jesus many times. I've met Buddha many times, Vishnu many times, you know, and all of the other great ascended masters, you know. They're always here. They're right next to you. That's why we're still on this planet. You finished all, okay, Twitchy finished all the exams of the semester. Woo, I want to hear, I can't scream and yell in the library here, but I will shamanically hoo-ha a great celebrational scream for Twitchy. And as my deaf friends say, congratulations, Twitchy. You feel lighter now? You feel that release? I hope you do. Yep, always been here. Just keep breathing. Thank you, Twitchy, for screaming. Exactly. If you put good water in, you'll get a good life out. What you're thinking about. Exactly. I want exactly what's up in their life. So just keep doing that. That's what I do. How do you crack someone's icy heart? You ask them about themselves, how they, it's a shrink. How do you feel? I do it a little more sweeter than that. Exactly. You don't always want to be the teacher. And the best relationship of It's, why you guys are the greatest is that you're my teacher. We're doing this pump of shamanic energy, of love. Okay. So Twitchy, where are you gonna go on your trip? Where's your boy? We have two ears for a reason, and only one. We got two ears and one mouth. Oh, good. So Twitchy, your babe, how old is your child? Oh, Valentine's Day, greater than 3. Got it. Well, again, right. Everyone is awake somewhat. Otherwise, they'd fall over. Right. The thing is, through your interaction with everyone around you, you expand the envelope of all of your relations. All of your relations, not just the woke ones. All of your relations. In the deep green, I have a number of animal totems that hangs out: a bear, a wolf, a fox, my big 4-foot owl, and everybody else who comes to visit. There are a lot of birds who come and visit. And when you come, guys, bring birdseed, because it turns the deep green into a bird sanctuary. I'm sending you all love. I'm sending you all peace. I'm co-creating with love's co-creation that's in all of us. That is all our relationships. Well, if you had a choice between distilled water and tap water, I would drink distilled water, because distilled water is just H2O with nothing in it. And that's a lot better than your tap water that has lead and mercury and, every other heavy metal, disgusting, and feces. Distilled water is better than tap water. Now, if you have a good spring, that's not below, a toxic waste dump, well, then go with the spring. Yep, we all have our story. And when we really listen to other people's stories, a lot of people, I listened to everyone, but when I am in a circle of folk, they're just waiting to tell their story, that little moment that makes them feel special. And everyone else isn't listening to their story that makes them feel special. And so they tell it over and over again until someone listens. And if they tell it over and over again so many times, it becomes neurotic, right? So when they get into that space, what happens is they double down on that neurosis to the point where they don't listen at all. And so when anyone else tells their story, they said, you already told it before. Whether they heard it or, they didn't. Meaning, if anyone says to you, you already told me that. Well, that means they haven't listened. Because if they listen, I'm a griot, I tell stories over and over again all the time, but they're always different. because they're a griot tells a story to bring context to the issue at hand. So yeah, you know, I tell a certain story for this, that it brings context. You may have heard it, but I'm telling it in a different way to give you that point of view that you can go, oh yeah, I can see that, right? So if someone goes, well, I've heard that before. My dad had 8 stories, right? That's all, it's 8 stories that made him feel special. And so I spent that last 28 years, it felt like 2,800 years, but last 28 years hearing those same 8 stories over and over again. And, the first 10 years, it got a little tedious. And so I would cut them off. I would give the punchline every time. But by the 15th year, I just let it go and listen to the story. Yeah. Yes, put that distilled in a glass jar. Take it out of the plastic one. Yep. And that's what happened with my dad. After the 15th year, and I just sat back and listened to the story over and over again, I got the deeper telling of the story every time. And then we had a deeper conversation. And I pretty much, because I took those 28 years with my parents, I, of all my brothers and sisters, got to understand my parents and didn't, put them in a place. Oh, they were terrible. They were mean. They were horrible. Blah 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 blah. Or they were putting them on a pedestal, because you either hate your parents or you put them on a pedestal, one or the other. They're human beings, so you should relate to them as one. They're all are part of all of our relations. You know. Yep. That's why we have 2 ears to listen and only one mouth to talk. Could you see it if we had like 3 or 4 mouths? Oh, oh boy, that would be. Yep. And plus, more and more today, our rivers are being so polluted by our sewage treatment plants, which aren't run properly because the budgets are cut. Politicians cut budgets of things that people don't notice. As long as the water comes out of the tap clear, people think it's okay. They don't really realize the stuff that's in there. And the number of, our infrastructure in the United States is, on the average, is 80 years old. Our gas lines, our water lines, our power lines, I mean, they're creaking. Our bridges, instead of spending $1 trillion on the DoD, if we just spent it on our infrastructure. But the powers that shouldn't be don't care. They can't make a profit off that. Ooh, the Fermi paradox. Why don't you tell us? Fermi was the smart guy of the Manhattan Project. The rest of those guys, he was the sharpest pencil in the box. He was. Are you talking about the Jesus factor of as the Fermi paradox? That he realized that one nuclear weapon had a 50-50 chance of incinerating the planet by causing the atmosphere to ignite in a chain reaction. And they went to General Groves and said, hey, we can't do this. And Groves had a 2-headed quarter, flipped it. Oh, look, heads. Let's try it out. And they did it, and then they did it when they did it in Hiroshima, because once they did it at Trinity, the scientists were like locked up, so they couldn't say anything because they were freaked out. It was so much bigger than they thought it was going to be that it totally freaked them out. and they wanted to write letters and get the president not to drop it, and have the Japanese, see the movie of it, and and the military just took it away. And then after we dropped it on Hiroshima and Nagasaki, Fermi and Gross were talking, and Gross said, "So, hey, that's beyond the 50-50." And that's when Fermi said, "Well, it's now the Jesus factor. Some other power greater than us is interacting." Yeah, okay. You want to, again, guys, words have power, have historical reference, and when I use them, it's within the context of that, you know. So one man's Jesus, another man's alien, right? So one man's magic is another man's science. So you want to call it whatever you want, call it, you know. Now that is a calling alien, right? That's a very interesting thing, because why doesn't science look at the alien phenomena, which is right in front of us, that, 80% of all humans on this earth have had some kind of experience where they saw something, where they were contacted, or they were taken away. And yet, the scholastic scientific world doesn't want to talk about it. And as we go deeper into, string theory and things of that nature, the alien phenomena comes into sharper and sharper focus. So why don't we talk about it? If we were to be able to look at it, if we were to able, as Stephen Greer says, declassify and disclose what, our political and governmental and military structures have been doing with trillions of dollars, and why are they out there in space, and why do they pretend this, and why about that? The negative energy of lies has more to do with what's screwed up in our civilization than anything else. To say the only good savage is a bad savage, which gives the self-righteous attitude that we can create genocide. I don't know. Okay, well, I would say Jesus was a pretty alien guy. Walking on water, creating miracles, all the rest. Yeah, we are the aliens. But we do have that connection to all our relations. And when we, solidify, that's in the Bible, when the lion laid down with the lamb, that image. Once we can be all our relations, that alienness, and the most alien thing about our character is when we can see others as the other. But they did it anyway. And when they blew up the first 3 hydrogen bombs, the Congress gave them money to build 3. So they blew up the first one, and it was 1,000,000 times stronger than what they calculated. It affected the sun and the whole solar system. It rang our planet like a bell. You would think after that they wouldn't do it, but they 4 months later they blew off another one, and again it was like 1,000 times stronger than and that's when they went and talked to the Nazis in Argentina, saying, "Hey, what's going on?" And he said, "Hey, this is what's going on. You guys are tapping the ether, the vacuum, and you guys are morons because you're doing it without controls. That's why this thing is like so mammoth. So cut it out." Did they cut it out? No, they did it a third frigging time. And then the French, who got a hold of the first Stargate and wanted to figure out how to power, esoteric occult technology, they detonated over 600 hydrogen bombs underground to pump up these, esoteric occult technologies. That scene out of Hellboy, where the Nazis are in the Scottish island and they got the Toro, you know, gizmo swinging around, popping a hole into the ether. That's what the French were doing 600 times. Why do you think the world is so friggin' weird? The paranormal. Yep, you got it. Yep, supernatural. And that's kind of what I played with for about 8 years, you know, between working at Duke with the DARPA and the, you know, the guys who are the SEALs, right? For the SEALs, there was a thing out of California called the SEAL Corporation from 1947 up till, I think, 77. It might still exist. I think it was folded into Lockheed Martin. And there are a lot of, and Grumman, I forget who Grumman's partner is. These are all extraordinarily esoteric, satanic technology houses, you know. You know, the Skunk Works. Ooh, boy, that smells. Yep. And, you know, I played around with that shit for a good 12, 15 years until they were saying, well, you got to join the club. And I said, I don't need to. Thank you very much. And I went to being, you know, the artist, shaman, healer, party boy, lover, you know. Who is that Italian lover guy? Oh, not Charles de Gaulle, but the other one. They made a movie about him. He had the big nose. My nose is pretty good. Pretty much everything in me is relatively, what do you think? Right? Yeah, pretty good. Anyway. But that's the mind that's running, like the squirrel in a cage, not the consciousness. Your mind is not your consciousness. Your mind is your ego. And if you just keep powering up that ego, ooh, baby, not going to be fun. Yep. From Mayor Baba, a very nice guy. Yeah. Well, you know, I had a lot of people on the other side saying, don't do that. Don't do that. Yes, Cyrano de Bergerac. Thank you very much. But that's one of them. But there's another guy who's, Cyrano was more the poet. The other guy was the Italian lover boy. That guy too. To pump it, him to see, they're the same guy. That's like when people, Jesus is coming back. No, Jesus is still here. He's just going by different names. Yep. The mind is the seat of the ego, the seat of the dissatisfaction and separation from our spirit of love's co-creation. Casanova. Thank you very much, Mr. Jamie. That's me, Casanova. You know, my second wife used to call me that. She goes, you are my Casanova. She was Italian. She goes, you are my Casanova. She'd pull my beard. She'd pull my head. You are my Casanova. We had a great time together. I still, and that's what memory's for, you know. And if you, in every day and every way, take that peace and love and co-create it with another, that's true love. And so even if it's not in the physical form with you at this second, it is in your heart, which is a much better place. And if you go study the Kabbalah, it's all about the tree of life and all those branches. Those are all branches, and in the and that it's an alchemical equation of the chakras and all of these branches going off in different mathematical geometric forms. Branches are important because they're connecting rods of energetics, right? It's not like your separation is like a separate thing, but if you're taking it's like we're talking about having that deja vu experience. You're going down the railroad tracks of your life, and then someone hits a switch, and one of those rails goes that way, and your other, half of you is going this way, and the other half is going that way, until the rubber band springs you back, either back on this track or onto that track. And that's what, deja vu is, or a supernatural experience, or seeing ghosts, or any of those things, shadow people, all of that stuff that's on your periphery. That's the experience of parallel universes, and we all live in them. It's how we see them and express them. That's what we're looking for. I could be choice is a separation, thinking it's like a tree branch. But again, separation is a separate thing instead of a straight. You don't want to be stuck on a straight line. You can bend. Being limber is a good thing. In heart and soul is a good thing to have a limber heart and soul. Yes, I do hold her. And everyone else in my life that I have loved dearly. You know, John keeps wanting me to, put her on a pedestal, but no, she is who and what she is. And in reality, she is still alive. And she's in my heart, and she's with me. She's just not in this dimension. There is a great book. I have it somewhere in the many boxes of books that was written in the late 40s, early 50s, and it was about all the great minds and spirits that had, moved on, but they were still around, and they were in this land of Shambhala, which is, within in just a stone's throw of our reality, just next door. And if you get your heart and mind, you can step in both and go visit one and go visit the other. And that's why I'm assisting you to meditate at 20% in and 30% out, and illuminating yourself in your imaginary mirror consciously, bringing the prana into your mitochondria and grounding it in your chi, and then walking into your illuminated subconscious, which is your library, and accessing your Akashic record, and getting the assistance of your librarian, your animal totem, and your guardian angel, right? And letting whoever needs to come to you within that context come through the fireplace, and as the old crone did, and then take you through any one of those 9 doors. Because your door going through to your superconscious mind, that's your door. That's why it's open to you. There is no, it's a doorway rather than a closed door. Where the others, those doors have to be open. So someone has to walk through the fireplace, come to you, hold your hand, put their arm around your shoulder, put their arm in your arm, and go hand in hand, arm in arm, shoulder to shoulder, into and through that doorway, right? Exactly. I like that. Baba's, my Baba is he's the dude. I'm just the dude awake. He's the dude. The eternal must. Yes, I like that. It's all known, and yet, paradoxically, there's a freewheeling in creation. Yes, our free will. And that's what separates us from being a mud puppet. Yep, the string drawn tight by the sharp blade soon breaks. Yep, yep. Yep. And that's what, that's why we have karma, to relieve the imbalance. Yep. Yes, Shakespeare was an alchemist. Why do you think those plays are so unbelievable? Because they're an alchemical equation. Why do you think I parse my words so carefully, and continually talk about the use of X, Y, or Z word in a specific way? Plus, it's alchemical. And I'm not dissing anybody when I go on about things. I'm just trying to lead by example, right? Because all of these chants are shamanic ceremonies within the dynamic of an alchemical force field. Yep, alchemical recipes. I like that. Yep. And that's, Jung's collective unconscious. Our soul is a drop in that sea, that ocean of the collective. The form that our soul. I love this. Every time the powers that shouldn't be interrupt, um, it's like, oh, we get a gold star. Well, guys, and gals, I'm starting off with quality rather than quantity, right? And a lot of those chat rooms, like the one I was on last night that my friend turned me on to, there were, I don't know, 100 people chatting. And it was like, you know, it was, I'm a fast read. I learned the Evelyn Wood speed reading thing. So I just kind of read all of that. And like I said earlier, none of those people were even listening to each other. They weren't even listening to the guys whose chat it was. He was going on about, radar displays of, whatever. And, I could see what he had no idea what the heck he was talking about. And everyone was talking about this conspiracy and that evil, and we need to, chastise that person, and only this God is the God. It's like, really? So I didn't say anything. I just kind of read them all and then left and, called up my friend and said, hey, why do you want me to see that? Because one person was terrible. I said, no, they were all terrible, you know? And they weren't, none of them were terrible. They were just scared little children. And it was a waste of time, but you're my friend, so I read it. And listen, guy, get over it. We don't have to go to war with anybody. We don't have to, conflict anyone. We don't have to tell anyone they're wrong and we're right, you know? And so this channel, I would love it if every one of you guys talk to 10 of your closest friends who talk like we talk, not talk like we talk, but, have that open mind to invite, that's why I printed up my business cards, to show people, hey, go take a look at this. Here's, what was truly amazing. freaking go to Staples, who's my friendly. There was this one woman who was there for a good 10 years, and she was the best. She was perfect. She always did exactly what I wanted. She read my mind and created what I wanted. But anyway, so these guys take my card and they put on my website and my new email and the new YouTube, and they make it the smallest print they can make. Look at there's these letters are big. Why don't they just kind of jump those together and then make these guys down? But they made that the smallest print they could make it. I need a magnifying glass to read that. Anyway, but that's why I made business cards so I could give these so people could go watch it. So the other reason why we don't have thousands is because many people are called, but few listen. You guys are listening. That's what I wanted. People, adepts. I was looking for adepts. There are not too many adepts, because to be an adept, you have to serve love's one love of co-creation. And that's what you all do. All of you. Even those who aren't always on the chat. But a good deal of, the 220 of the cadre do, they observe, but they don't chat. Do chat, contact me at my dude awake 42 at Gmail, and do read my xratted.blogspot.com. And has anyone read that blogspot lately? Because I can't seem to make it come up, but that doesn't mean anything. I'm all thumbs when it comes. That's a joke, son. You're supposed to be all thumbs with this thing, right? Anyway, so it's getting close to me heading back to the presidential suite. So you know what spelling and grammar is? It was invented in the Tower of Babylon to be a spell. So people, because before the Tower of Babylon and spelling and grammar, people could communicate, just thinking, opening, their hearts were so open that just like Jamie's heart, What's a privacy warning? God knows. I mean, I don't even know how to do this thing. What is it? Okay, tell me what a privacy warning is. Well, tell me what a private. Can't you please tell me what is a privacy warning? Please. Could be AI. Anyway, when you guys figure this out, tell me, right? And also contact me at my YouTube, the Dude Awake 42, and explain these things. Listen, anyone who understands any of this stuff, because I surely don't, get a hold of me at YouTube. I'll go back. I don't always look at all my YouTubes. I'll go back and see if anyone said, hey, I know about this. Yeah. More hoops to jump through. Well, like I said, it's a gold star showing that we are just doing something amazing here. It's a short description that pops up in chat. And is it something that I've said? Is it kind of like when the music and the radio is playing in the background, and then they slap my wrist for using something I shouldn't use, or that image I take off of TV, or any of that kind of stuff? I mean, how can you guard your privacy when you are live on chat on the World Wide Web and you're opening your heart? Isn't that an oxymoron? And isn't kind of that what we're doing? Our community guidelines are to love each other as all our relations. I think that's the only, little, and we do that pretty good. When you load chat, I mean, if you use a bad word, or was this the thought police or something of that nature? Community. Is community a bad word? I thought it was a good word. Again, I keep telling you guys, you know, put this on your hard drive, your thumb drives, your CD-ROMs, whatever. You know, hold it for posterity. And you guys can always find me. You know my Gmail. But I don't see anyone flaming or trolling. And if they did, we would just go to them with love. That's kind of the modus operandi of our community, you know, to let everyone say what they want, for us to open our hearts to understand, to deconstruct so we can give them the best perspective, so they can come to their own understanding of who they are. I've done that before. I pretty much do it every time I come to the library. But again, I respect everyone's. I wouldn't kind of do it live on YouTube there. But we're all minding our P's and Q's. I mean, we are very P and Q kind of people here, because we're all our relations. So I haven't seen anything pop up on my screen that says anything of that nature. So does that mean I'm not being, naughty? I don't find any of you guys naughty, not even Buddy. Which librarian? The one in my Akashic record, or the one who sits 40 or 50 feet away from me? Well, the interesting thing is, the next time I'm going to do this will be either later tonight at the presidential suite, where I'll look like a Bruegel painting, or and sound like something coming out of speaking into a trumpet, or when I'm at my breakfast spot that has pretty good Wi-Fi, and we'll see what they say about it. Somebody's hosting? I thought I was the host with the most. Meanwhile, you guys are doing this, you're doing something else? Whoa. Talk about multitasking. You guys are pretty swank. See, that's why I kind of want us to gather at the Big Green or somebody else's Big Green or any place someone come and get me and take me out of this ice rink. Let's go someplace warm. Why don't we all go to Puerto Rico? They need our help. We could start a really nice nightclub in one of those destroyed buildings. So anyone want to do that? That's one place I can go. I don't need a passport to go there. A Masonic degree to be a librarian? The one subject I really, I used to be a substitute teacher in universities when I was doing research. Hey, Al, can you teach this? And I only once taught library sciences. And the woman who was head of the department hated my guts because she goes, "This is a science." And I said, "Give me a break. It's the card catalog." What? No, you have to give them tests and quizzes and I said, "No, I don't. All we're going to do is I'm going to give them subject matter. We, instead of being in a classroom, we're going to go in the library. I'm going to give them a list of things to go find. And if they can find them, that's a quiz. That's it. And if they can't find them, I will help them. And that'll be their passing grade, And the librarian was like verschniggered because she was the head librarian, but she wasn't like, the chair of a department. So she couldn't tell me what to do. I mean, I was just being paid $100 a class. Like I said, I'm like Tweety Bird. You don't know me too well, do they? Anyway, we're going on here. So it's pushing towards 4, I guess. So I am going to shuffle off soon, see what we're talking about. Yeah, I wish you did have millions. Well, hey, one of us are going to win the lottery soon. So that'll take care of this. And the other side of the coin is we are building quite a cadre. And the powers that shouldn't be will hire us to fix their spiritual problem. I mean, look at kings and bishops and popes. They always had the magician and the fool, who were one and the same. They just changed hats. I had a fool's hat that was a magician's hat. I mean, it was a real, thing that was made by people who make mystical and magical and alchemical things like magic wands. This was a magic hat. I had a magic cape, very similar to Doctor Strange's one. I mean, it like slapped me in the face all the time. And I was using it for what both of those things thought I shouldn't use it for. I was using it for when I had a really good friend. His name was Ralston Farina, and he invented performance art. And he died. He thought he was indestructible. And he went to California and was, teaching at Stanford, and he got sick. And instead of taking care of himself, he died. And his girlfriend, who was with him, came and became my girlfriend because that's what he told her to do. Anyway, so I had this, Doctor Strange cape, really long, one big, heavy, went down to the floor. I could fly with it, all kinds of really great stuff. And I had this hat that was like, a magician's hat, and they turned it around, it had a fool's hat, right? So I used to do performance art, and I took my gigantic Tesla coil and my gigantic Van de Graaff generator, and basically, and my toral coil, and basically turned, and I would do performance pieces inside squash courts because there was a big thick glass wall, like the fourth wall of the theater where the proscenium is, that I could sit the audience behind and they wouldn't get electrocuted, you know? And I could do because I would make things appear from the ether. And I would be wearing my magic and my cape and my hat would do all kinds of fun things. And I would amaze and excite the audience. And I was like Tesla. Tesla did the same thing. And, I got a lot of grants for that. And one day I had my little laboratory, I had a special closet where I put my magical tools. And, and I had different closets for different, I had those kind of magical tools. And I had, indigenous people magical tools. And anyway, one day I came back and my hat and my cape were gone. And my other tools said, they got upset with you. They left. Oh, we're not going to do that, but you better stop doing what you're doing. So I stopped what I'm doing. And I was told that they would come back. And so years later, I was in a bar and I was doing a little, what can I call it? Making myself interesting towards a pretty young woman. And I turn around and my magical hat is right on the bar. Like, where the heck did that thing come from 8 years later? And it started to spin, and it spun in a geometric pattern that basically said, stop doing what you're doing. So I did. See, I listen, and I got better at listening. Yeah, you have a glitch. Al needs a place on the Loch Ness. I sure do. I need to get a passport too. I mean, you guys need to come visit. We need to get everything together, and then we need to take it on the road. And so many different ways we can do that. I am not stuck in anything, but man, we're not even in frigging winter. And we had a 40-inch snowstorm here. I can't stay up at that school. And, I've spent every nickel I had to, and what my friends had to stay in, a $40 a night hotel that's the police come visit. Kim. Just won't send. Very strange. Well, that's us. As Louise Etro once told me, that she printed me up new cards when I was in California. And Louise Etro is probably one of the greatest computer whizzes. She was Christine Barton's good buddy. And Christine Barton was the smartest human I ever met, and I've met a lot of smart humans. She was the girl who, her PhD thesis, her first one, she's got like 12, was the Pixar lamp. She was the first human to render in 3 dimensions digitally. And Louise, before Christine did that, rendered a 3-dimensional image in an analog that represented a digital. So anyway, Louise Etro printed me these cards, and she and Christine and I had them. And it was said, when things get weird, the weird get professional. And that, that defines me more than anything. Right. Yep. I like being as all over the universe, everything is all over, all over the East Coast and different people's, I've been looking for all my paperwork and Anyway, and every time I try to reconnect on doing that, there's some bureaucratic thing in the way. Why Loch Ness? Ness is one of those amazing crossroads of energy. I can feed Nessie. This is true. Anyway, so it's 1 hour, 20 minutes, and 50 seconds. So we'll keep talking for another 10 minutes or so, and I'll sign off at 1 hour, 30 minutes, and 30 seconds. So, but what I really, really, really want, and what I really, really love, is the companionship of my cadre here, right? And I really enjoy. That's why do you think I do this twice a day? You guys, you know. But it'll be so much fun when we're sitting around a fire. There are a lot of mysteries, gang, around every place. You know, there's a mystery just outside your peripheral vision. You know, I've traveled the world a lot, and one of the things I learned is everywhere you go, there you are, right? So, and every time I shamanically and synchronistically feel that, I can be, I've been with indigenous people where I was the first white boy they ever seen. It's one thing to be with indigenous people, but when you're hanging with indigenous people who are like wearing I Love New York t-shirt and flip-flops, it's like, they've been tainted. That's where the word taint really fits. But when you are with indigenous folk who are still wearing the grass skirt, and they're like looking at you like, what are you? New kind of elephant, or some kind of grasshopper, or will you be tasty? You know, and you don't understand them, and they don't understand you, but within a week, you know their language, and they know yours. And that's kind of, what parsing is all about. Seafood plate. Yep. Uh, Zip. Well, Crowley wasn't the smartest pencil in the box either. Yes, I mean, he got caught up in the mechanics of everything and the ego of everything. I mean, the poor guy, the way he went out wasn't very pleasant. And that's why I'm not a big fan of magic, because it's just somebody else's science, And science is just another person's religion, and religion is just somebody else's business plan. Ooh, do. Yeah, we got another 6 minutes or so to make interesting conversation here. Like, guys, so I've been looking around the chat scene. I have a number of friends who keep sending me, on my stream, I guess they call it. Go look at my stream. There's a lot of interesting, weird stuff on there, especially about Bell Labs. Those guys were talk about magic, talk about Crawley-ness. Those guys were it. And one of my mentors, Billy Kluver, the guy who discovered background radiation, he came out of Bell Labs. He came out of everybody's lab. He was in the RAD lab. He was in Lauren's lab. He was at Lawrence Livermore. He was pretty much everywhere. The thing is not to make everything or anything mechanical, rote, by the book. It's all from the heart. Heart is our piece, is our central processing unit, our CPU. You got it. Shower of monkeys, yep. Crank up. Yep. Crank up the antenna. That's exactly it. And the most interesting people I ever see are the people who are doing the work and not looking for the credit. You know? And that's what's most fun. And poor Tesla, he had a foot in both worlds. I think if he had a little more fun, I think he could have played the game a little better. Your heart isn't affected, buddy. You have the sweetest, openest, grandest heart. You just have a different perspective. You are as Saint Germain would call you, the artist in the first person. I lost the word. What is the indigenous person? The savage. You are the savage. That's it, bud. That's all. And that is the highest, most powerful shaman. Yes, he was. He was from Siberia, but he lived. He was one of those guys who kept popping up in history for about 500 years, up until World War One. And there are actually photographs of him. And once people started snapping pictures of him, he decided to make himself, like Mayor Baba. Uh, 2809. Yep. Yes, we are the clan of savages. We are the cadre of savages. Boo, 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 boo. MB. Yep. MB always has a smile. I mean, just thinking of his name, Mayor Baba, makes this glow in my heart. Yep. I think he was possessed a little bit. Yep, it's getting closer. It's 1:29:26. So we got about a minute to say we'll see you soon. Maybe later this evening, probably 8-ish o'clock if I show up there. And I'm at least intelligible. If I pop up, if I look like a Bruegel painting, that's okay. But as long as we can hear each other, that's all that matters. So we're the Mighty Nine. Do 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 do. It's 1 hour 30 minutes and 4 seconds. Yep. Okay, we're 17, 18, 19, 20. Another 10 seconds. I love you all. I will see you soon. If not tomorrow morning. or tonight in dream time. Good night. Sweet dreams. Sweet dreams. Sweet dreams. I love you. Sweet dreams.